begin. For my God, it's time for us to protect and defend.
Hi, I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program. The good news with the big G, because it's about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Can't get better than that, gang. And the little g, all the good things that people do to make the gospel of Jesus real in this world. And there are so many good things happening, and we would like to share that good news with you. We have great people doing some very, very great things. And today we have with us Kim Elsmore. This is the lovely Kim Elsmore. She is the coordinator for the Family Life Office in the Diocese of Venice in Florida. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And we have with us, they are coming in from the Bayou, Louisiana, right? Are you in the Bayou? And their name is Ryan and Mary Rose Verrett. And they are the inventors of a new program for marriage preparation. We're going to talk about that. You know, we hear a lot about marriage and, it's kind of in trouble, and people are getting divorced, and, what do you do to, you want to get ahead of the game. And getting ahead of the game in marriage means there's preparation. Everything else in life you do, right, you prepare for. And sometimes marriage is like an afterthought. You're preparing for, the bridal gown. You're preparing for the shower. You're preparing for the reception. But what about living together and loving together, and what's the role of the church? And their program is called Witness to Love, because you know why? Marriage for Catholics is a sacrament. And I talked to you about this in the past. Sacrament means an outward sign instituted by Christ to give grace, his life to his people. And in marriage, the couple is the sacrament.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And God wants to use them to do his work. And when they mess up, you're kind of like stepping on God's toes. So we don't want that to happen. No. Because they know, we don't do what God wants us to do. There's, we could go below. And we don't want that to happen. No, we don't want that to happen. All right. Kim, you know what? Once, many years ago, I was a family life director in New Jersey. How about that?
That's
all right.
amazing. That's why you know so much.
Well, sometimes I do. But you know more than I do, because you're on top of the situation right now. And I would like to, first of all, tell the folks what a family life director does. And then we're going to talk about a special part of what you do, this marriage preparation. Okay, so what do you do?
So I cover, a lot of times I give a little spiel. I say I do marriage prep, marriage enrichment, bereavement, divorce support, and anything that happens from conception to death that deals with the family. But a lot of my job is dealing with marriage preparation because it's so vast. And so as I've been in this position for 3 years, I kind of looked at the different programs, and I know right before I came, we had just started a new program from Ascension Press. And as time went on, I noticed, the divorce was still happening. And so what can we do to improve our marriage preparation? And so I was looking through different programs, and Witness to Love came about. And I looked further into it. I had brought it to the bishop, and the bishop was very excited about it because he had just been hearing about it from other bishops, and he said, hey, let's try this out. And over the course of 3 months, it came from let's piloting it to let's just institute it because it's getting amazing numbers. And
okay, I want to talk to you about this just for a moment. In the past, we had what we called pre-Cana.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And it was a nice idea, Jesus was in Cana of Galilee, and he went to the wedding, and he had a great time for himself. And he kind of sanctified that event by changing the water into wine. All right. Now, pre-Cana is something that, that was one program for a different time. And maybe couple of nights, life skills and sacramentality.
Yes.
But we need more.
Correct.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what this more is.
So with this new program, it's inviting the couples to have another couple walk with them and to journey with them so that they can fall back to that other couple that they know, hopefully from previous years. And it allows them to journey together, have someone to go to them, because as Mary Rose had stated in our training last week, that a lot of the couples, if they were given a mentor couple.
Okay, let's go back on this.
Yes.
Okay, as I said, God uses marriage to sanctify his people. Husband and wife sanctify each other.
Correct.
Okay, but then they are also going to be a means whereby other people are sanctified,
Yes.
made holy, brought to God. Okay, now, in effect, marriage is all about evangelization.
Yes.
Right? Because we are called to be witnesses of God's love. So if you have a couple that love each other and have a wonderful marriage, and well, that's something people say, "Hey, I want that."
Exactly.
I want that.
Yes.
And then you talked about this mentoring idea, and you got to find like a couple that are going to be like real role models.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Without even realizing it.
yeah, I know. And like, how do you find these role models and say, hey, I want to be like that?
Well, a lot of the couples actually know someone and they look up to an older couple, maybe a few years older than them, maybe quite a few years older than them. And so they already kind of have a couple in mind. They already kind of have a couple in their life. Maybe not a close relationship yet, but they have a couple in mind that they are going to ask to walk alongside them in their journey.
All right,
of
so
engagement.
somebody comes to me at St. Agnes, the
Yes.
greatest parish in the diocese, as you well know.
Yes.
All right, and they say to me, I want to get married. Well, we want to get married. All right, and I say to them, well, we got to find you a couple to mentor you. Do they get a choice?
They do. They do, and that's the beauty of this program. But also the scary part, because in years past, it's always been, will you find them a mentor couple that goes along with all the teachings of the church, that can really give them what they need? And what they have found is that these mentor couples, they're not going to them after they're married and they're going through struggles because, well, they're so great and their marriage isn't so great. And so what are they going to tell them? That they're either going to be judged or they're going to be seen as, well, this shouldn't be happening if you're a true faithful Catholic. But the reality is all marriages struggle and all marriages go through some sort of lack of communication. And with this program, they're choosing this couple to help them walk through that they have chosen because they see something in it. And so as they're walking through, they're building a bond that would normally take quite a few sessions.
Okay, so they pick a mentoring couple, all right, and then this couple accompanies them to the altar.
Yes, and after.
And after. Okay,
Yes.
so they meet the couple, they get to know the couple, they become friends. They might have been friends already.
Well, they generally are friends already.
Okay, and then even after they get married, the hope is that they will continue to help each other because
Yes.
well, once you get married, I mean, sometimes that's when the trouble starts.
Exactly.
I mean, I know these couples. I mean, some of them. I know you're not going to believe this, but they live together before they get married.
Yes, yes.
Folks. It happens.
It does,
Right?
it does.
And then all of a sudden they get married, and then all of a sudden they don't like each other anymore.
I know.
I mean,
it's
what's
crazy.
going on
I
here?
don't understand why that happens. And it happens more often than not.
I know.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, we have a little bit of a solution to this now. See, folks, this is more long term.
Yes.
Long term. Well, you know, folks out there think, well, you got to church. The priest said, till death do you part. Goodbye.
You have the sacrament, you're good to go.
Yeah, but that's not the way it works because, like the spiritual life, we got to build on the spiritual life.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now we have two builders out there in television land,
Yes.
in the bayou.
In the bayou, yes.
Okay. And this is Ryan and Mary Rose, and these are the ones that invented this program, right?
Yes, and they through trial and error.
Through
So,
Their own personal story here?
No,
right,
not their own personal story,
right.
but she'll tell you.
All right, you want to tell us about it. Tell us how this happened.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And Witness to Love started, I would say, from really desperation and the Holy Spirit. We were seeing couples get divorced. We were seeing them not going to church, even though they had done extensive marriage preparation, including meeting with trained mentor couples, meeting with Father, going to retreats and conferences, taking a full NFP course, taking an inventory. All of that was not changing the divorce rate for couples. It remained at 23% at 5 years after the wedding day, which is what the expected average would be for couples getting married in the Catholic Church. And so we also saw church attendance was below 10%, which is also the expected average church attendance for newly married couples. And so we realized that in desperation, we had to do something different. And we looked at everything that had been tried to date, and we couldn't find a single thing that actually lowered the divorce rate. And as we interviewed couples who did get divorced and asked them why they got divorced, who did they speak with, why didn't they come to us, why didn't they go to Father? And it was, as Kim mentioned, they thought they would be judged. And they felt like they couldn't connect with the experts out there. And so they all had in their minds someone whose marriage they admired. That's why they were getting married. They had someone somewhere who they said, I want a marriage like that.
Okay. So you have all these horror stories, and then you say, well, we have to do something about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And then you begin to develop this program together. So it was, you and Ryan, you sat down together and you say, well, what are we going to do about this? And did you use your marriage as like a model, or, well, Madam Directress, how much time do I have left? Okay, well, we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to get Ryan to speak to this issue. Okay, we'll be right back.
In my life, long as I remember, now they're even missing from December. God's gone missing, Jesus too. Does that even bother you? God's gone missing, Jesus too. Looks like the minority rules, and the Christian world looks mighty weak. No fight at all, just turn the cheek. Time to stand and be much bolder. Time to move on, we're Christian soldiers. God's gone missing, Jesus too. What on earth are you going to do? Oh my God!
And we're back. We're back with Kim from the Diocese of Venice in Florida, and we are back with the Verettes. Well, half of the Verettes. Somebody's missing. Well, how many kids do you have?
Right back.
How many kids do you have? So she's busy with the children?
Just one. We have 4 and one on the way.
And
we had one empty seat in our minivan, and I couldn't justify it being empty. It's a nice Honda Odyssey, so I thought, Mary Rose, let's grow the domestic church a little bit more. So,
okay. God bless you. That's wonderful. Most couples these days want to have like the one perfect kid.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling them I was the last one.
Follow your generation, and you talked about mentoring a while ago, and I love the visuals and the scenes. And here's Mary Rose. Thank you for actually looking at.
We thought you left. We thought you left them.
No. Oh no, there's no. You get to see how the domestic church work. This is the real thing. But it's kind of mentoring. Paul, you talked about just your thoughts and your generation. Obviously, our generation, in particular, the younger ones, which witnessed a lot of us focus on kind of going, reaching out to millennials. I mean, okay,
let's talk about. We have a problem. You're telling us this is what with the baby boom generation too. The divorce rates they skyrocketed. And then came Generation X and Y and Z and the millennials now. And they say the millennials are having a lower divorce rate. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. You know why? They're not getting married. All right?
Right.
And that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable, right? Yeah. You're mad, I could tell. Okay. All right. So you come up with this great program, and I was at one of your trainings, and I like the whole concept of the whole thing. Could you tell us now, the steps? Like obviously you prayed over this as a couple, and you saw what was going on. You collected a lot of the data, and you said we got to do something. You got to do something about this, and you did. I mean, you say, you're taking your baptismal promises very seriously. We got to do something. That's what the church is. The church just ain't me. I mean, it takes in like a lot of people. So tell us about what you did.
We basically went into the community and started saying, okay, all the new couples coming forward, let's do something different. We've heard from these couples who got divorced that instead of coming to us, they went to their divorced friend for advice. So Ryan and I both had in our lives couples whose marriages we admired.
Okay, so you said to me that when they're having problems, they go to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
who are divorced.
Yeah, well, divorced. I mean, so you're going from
misery loves company. You said it last week,
you liked when I said that, didn't you? Misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, you know what it means in Italian? You got one stunada going to another stunada. That's what one nut going to another nut. All right, yeah, all right. So you got to go to the right. You got to go to the right people. You got to go to the right people. Okay, tell us then what happened.
And so then, as we interviewed these couples, they shared that they had couples whose marriages they admired. And we knew that to be the same for ourselves. And so how could we sort of harness the beauty and the power of those existing relationships so that we didn't spend months and years building bridges that were flimsy? And really the amount of church teaching and the grace needed to live out the sacrament, just the flimsy bridge wasn't supporting it. These couples were so disconnected from the church, and couples of all ages. And so to build the trust and the relationships, we didn't have to start from scratch when we were building on an existing relationship and where they trusted and admired someone. And once that light bulb went off and we tested it out and we started seeing conversions in the mentor couples who were chosen, engaged couples having a front row seat to that conversion, both couples really becoming on fire and involved in the community, even before we had any data to show that these couples were staying married and going to church. We could see it with our own eyes, the different quality of the relationships, increased church attendance. And at a 3-year mark and at a 5-year mark, after starting this back in January 2012, we saw church attendance go up to 70%. And then
how much? 70%?
Church attendance. And then we got it up to 90 after 5 years.
Let me tell you, folks, church attendance now, I see the averages between 20 and 27% in most places. Mm-hmm. All right, that ain't good. All right, that ain't good. But you're saying we're getting up to 70 and 90%. Wow.
And young couples have the lowest church attendance. They're usually 10% or less, especially if they have small children.
Okay, so now we see that marriage is actually building the church community, but marriage is the basic building block for society.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Absolutely. And you have healthy families, you have healthy marriages, and hope those marriages bring in children. Mm-hmm. You have a healthy society. Yes. So when we have a good marriage, it's good for society. And that's the role of the church. The church is not just to help people get to heaven, although we want to go there too, eventually.
Yes.
Not right now.
Well,
all right, we're trying. All right. But we want to build a good society. We want to build a good society. Yes. And that's the church giving service. Vatican II said it's the leavening in the dough. The leavening in the dough. It makes it rise. It makes it beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have this great program, and you say some really great things are happening. Is it happening all over the country?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Over 70 dioceses.
Over 70.
We're now up to 75 dioceses.
75.
Yeah. 75.
And the feedback and the results are the same everywhere. Some places have higher, the 90% church attendance, some have the 70%, but it's between 70 and 90%. And the divorce rate at all the parishes that it's in has been below 6% during the first 5 years of marriage. That's a dramatic drop. That's almost a 20% drop in the divorce rate for these newly married couples. And the divorce rate peaks at 4.5 years after the wedding day. And so after that, it falls off. It's the first 5 years that are critical it's also the years that we lose these couples. They never set foot in the church during the marriage prep process other than maybe the rehearsal, and then they're gone after the wedding day. But these couples integrate into the church during marriage prep. They become part of the community, and the mentors are really their connection to community, and they continue after the wedding day. So they're there, and their sacrament is being fed.
You
It's
know
not
what
rocket science that
You know
they're
what I
doing
found
okay.
interesting? You know, one of my grave concerns, and maybe one of my original doubts was, how do you keep connected with the mentoring couple? Because everybody moves around all over the country these days. You know, in the old days, you lived in the same neighborhood. You know, Kumada Mary was over here and Kumba Steve was over there. You know
Yes,
Italian?
yes. No.
That means, you know, all your paisans were all around, and
Yes.
all the aunts and uncles, and you had like a built-in community there. But now, I mean, everybody is like everywhere.
Yes,
And
yes.
maybe you mentor a couple, live someplace, and then maybe you move away because, you know, your job took you someplace else. Well, how do you keep in touch? What do you do?
Well, go ahead.
You fly, you Skype. I mean, the couple who really mentored us, and the husband actually walked me down the aisle for our wedding because my parents are divorced, so my dad was out of the picture. This couple, we call on the phone, we Skype, we go see them in person, they come see us. We stay connected. They were even in Hawaii, and we were still seeing them when they would come back to the mainland. So if there's a really beautiful relationship, you do what you can to keep it going. So just because aunt or uncle moves out of town, you don't ever talk to them again. That's not how it works. You know, if it's a good relationship, you maintain it.
And
Okay.
we definitely agree that millennials today definitely have this huge tendency to isolation. But, you know, obviously it's not just millennials, even older people. There's a lot of loneliness in society. And the experience in the past has been essential, but people still today have opportunities to connect. And I think when these voluntarily, these couples are coming to the church seeking the sacrament of matrimony, we have an opportunity to introduce them to the life of the Church of Christ. And the process, the methodology of witness to love is established upon, we would say, an early church catechumenate model of marriage prep, which is using virtuous relationships in the Lord to be the foundation of catechesis. And the catechesis makes a lot more sense. I said it earlier, I learned this from another priest, that rules without relationship lead to rebellion. But when we have rules and relationships and the connectedness, they stick around, that they find something that they're not finding in any other place in society, which is God and friendship.
Okay. I think I alluded earlier to the fact, don't get upset, that there are some people who just live together. And now it's becoming more and more common.
Yes.
And sometimes they live together for a number of years.
Yes, yes.
Right. Well, if you meet a couple and they're just living together, what would you say to them? You know, why should they get married? You know, it's working, we're living together, you know, and what's the big deal?
We have a lot of family members who are in that situation, and friends, people we know. And honestly, sometimes the person they're living with is not the person they should get married to. And sometimes that's the conversation that needs to be had. Often one of them has maybe a commitment issue or a history of abuse, domestic abuse. Maybe they've been in some very unhealthy relationships and they're bringing some baggage in. Some of them have cold feet. Some of them, the family member doesn't like the other. So I think I wouldn't give a blanket statement, but I would definitely ask them, why are you not married? You know, what do you still need? What do you feel fulfilled? Is this enough? It's actually pretty scary, the things you hear people say about why they're not actually married. And very fresh in my mind is a conversation with a relative who told me that the reason she was the happiest in her relationship was because that tomorrow she could wake up and be a different person and it would be okay to her boyfriend.
Wow. Yeah.
He could be a different person. To me, that's scary as you know what. I mean, that's the opposite of what our hearts were created for.
Yeah, it's kind of it's instability.
It is.
But you know what? I would think, Kim, with marriage, there's so much more. You know, we talk about the idea of permanence. You don't have to have that fear. You shouldn't have that fear. You know, something goes wrong, we're walking out. All right. Faithfulness. You know, it's with one person, and there's so much like, you know, serial cohabitation too. It's like, you know, you try somebody out for a year or two, and then you try somebody else out, and that kind of behavior, it follows you.
It does.
Yeah.
You have to actually make a conscious effort to change that, so that. And I think with the marriage preparation, when people actually decide to get married, we have an obligation to help them realize that your habits need to change. Even if you are living together now, how is this going to be different? Because marriage is different, and it should be treated as such.
Rich. It's much richer. Now I'm going to ask you another one. Like, you two are doing fine. You got 4 and another one on the way, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long you married?
Almost 10 years.
10 years. Oh, another 5 at least. Okay. Now, what about kids? I mean, do you prepare them to have kids?
Yes. I think that.
Yeah. You know, I think something you were discussing just now and leads into the kids is that in the past, many people are just for now, there's not a lot of decision process built into Witness to Love. Is a process of sort of discernment and decision, making decisions for God. But obviously, kids being one of them. I mean, the church is teaching this is the 50th anniversary of Humana Vitae. We haven't made a lot of progress in the past 50 years
as a church.
As a church per se, at least statistically, it would show that in some of the data. But our experience is that through this process of working with another relationship, another couple that already has children and seen the gift of children and generosity, they are more open.
And the couples have children sooner. A lot of times the mentor couple will be on birth control, and through this process, they'll get off and they'll get pregnant literally during the marriage prep process. And while the couple they're mentoring is getting prepared for the sacrament of marriage, the mentor couple is getting ready to have a baby.
Holy cow. I mean, it's like catchy, huh? Even the mentor couple, I mean, no matter how old they are?
Well, no.
There are some limitations.
The Zechariah and Elizabeth deal, you know, you never know. You never know. Well, you know, I'm so happy that you were able to be with us today, and you, Kim, and I'm happy to hear about the efforts, in marriage preparation. You know, why wait till it's too late? You know, till the marriage is on the rocks. Start at the very beginning.
Yes,
start at the very beginning. And I want to thank my buddy Bishop Dwayne for bringing this wonderful program into the Diocese of Venice in Florida. And if you're not Catholic, I mean, find out about the program. It'll work in your church too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, bye, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.
We trust that this week's Action for Life program has challenged and encouraged you in honoring, respecting, preserving, and protecting human life. If you'd like to support this ministry or just get more information, we invite you to visit our website at www.actionforlife.net.
Time to move on, we're Christian soldiers. God's gone missing, Jesus too.